What's going on, fellow A-plusers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode review as we're set to get into episode number 7 of Gotham Knights, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we wind up getting ourselves a brand new episode here this past Tuesday. It is, in fact, Tuesday night as I'm recording this. Wanted to make sure that I stay on top of these reviews for you guys as we got ourselves another enjoyable episode here this week. Solid episode, one that I certainly enjoyed. Had some moments in here that I certainly laughed out loud. Thought was actually pretty important for the most part. So solid episode. Nothing really to super write home about, but a lot of things now kind of in motion that certainly has me rather intrigued. I will say I do appreciate how the story of the art heist, along with the kidnapping of Eunice Harmon in here, how it kind of all came together at the end for our Gotham Knights to kind of achieve their goal, if you will. But then also opening up further mystery in regards to what it is that the Court of Owls are truly looking for out there, what their plans are. We wind up getting ourselves a surprising return of Cressida, who winds up approaching Harvey Dent at the end of this episode, letting her know, hey, I can tell you what they're planning. My life is in danger. I'll certainly tell you everything that I know. So we might have a lead there in regards to what the Court of Owls are certainly up to. So overall, really good stuff. Like for me, I kind of appreciate the idea of some of these members embracing the concept of being considered Gotham Knights. The news reporters out there, the city is really referring to them now, sort of as a group or band of vigilantes. And so for me, it's kind of fun to kind of see how some people are on board with it and others are kind of hesitant, right? Like somebody like Dula, especially. Like to me, I kind of chuckle towards the end of this episode when they're watching the news report, and Detective Green is thanking the Gotham Knights for all of their help. I love the idea of how like bummed she is, the fact that she helped somebody. And I love what Turner says to her in the sense of, just because you did a good deed doesn't mean you are a good person. And all of a sudden, like the revelation of that for Dula just kind of makes the situation that much better. Like that's the compliment that she needed to know, okay, maybe I can help on occasion, but as long as I can still be a villain, that's all that matters to me. So I kind of definitely chuckled at her perspective towards the end of this. So again, enjoyable episode to certainly say the least, especially when we will have a surprising, I don't want to say surprising swerve, but the direction that we're going with Harvey Dent, along with Lincoln March and his wife Rebecca, I found rather fascinating to say the least. So, a lot of cool moving parts for a solid episode here this week. But let's go ahead and dive into the details, if you will, shall we? Let's really get into these episode reviews. And for you guys, just so you know, we like to drop these reviews every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time. So you have an idea as to when you can expect our reviews. So hopefully you guys continue to check in on a weekly basis. I know we did have ourselves about a week hiatus a couple weeks ago, but we're back on schedule, guys. I am a little bit under the weather. I got a terrible head congestion, so if you hear me sniffling and stuff, I highly do apologize, man. It's just getting the best of me and truly just kicking my ass. Just allergy season. And for those of you who have allergies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anytime you get the changing of the weather, it's just like, just wants to punch me in the face. So I feel like I'm drugged up half the time, honestly. But let's go ahead and get into this because we wind up having ourselves an art heist in here. We had a thief that was going around stealing paintings, and one of the connections and patterns that the Gotham Knights figured out, thanks to Stephanie Brown, was the idea that the paintings that this person is collecting once belonged to Alan Wayne upon his death. So I guess these were collected from Alan Wayne when he certainly died, and they went ahead and put them into museums. And so we see a thief is certainly looking for them. And then on top of that, we also have an adventure between with Dula and Carrie. Unexpectedly, I should say, Carrie winds up joining this as Dula kidnaps Eunice in an attempt to try and learn a little bit more about the Talon and if he really is sort of Felix Harmon back from the dead, if you will. So I thought those were pretty two interesting storylines that we wind up having in here. I think for me, the art heist swerve comes from the idea of Detective Green being the thief, right? They literally brought in Detective Green to hunt down the thief that was certainly stealing all these paintings, only to come to find out that it's actually her doing the stealing because she's sort of being framed, if you will. Like I don't want to say framed, but they have kidnapped her family. I think like her wife and her child, and are sort of making her do these paintings in order to kind of see the people that she loves. And so it's really not until the Gotham Knights try and steal the last painting for themselves when they wind up discovering exactly what's going on, and bump into Detective Green at the warehouse that they're certainly at. I kind of dug the art heist final painting heist, if you will. The idea, like for some reason, the concept of gone in 60 seconds came in my head, and I was like, heist for 60 seconds, as they literally had to swarm through an entire warehouse and find these paintings while they're certainly waiting for the cops to try and arrive. So I thought that was pretty cool, pretty epic and intense in the sense of them trying to get out of the warehouse and get out of there before the cops certainly were able to show up. So I thought that was pretty fascinating, and honestly, pretty cool idea on their part when they are delivering the painting at the end, to have sort of an insurance policy, and that insurance policy is in fact Eunice Harmon, who I thought was great. Look, this actress that's been playing Eunice the two times that we've seen her, she has been like the highlight of the episodes that we're in. There's just something about the creepy old crazy lady that she just does an amazing job in here, and the fact that Dula goes to lengths to not only kidnap her but also torture her, if you will, by like cutting off her oxygen, like really going to these lengths to try and get this bit of information. And you just see like this inner conflict of Carrie Kelly, like, man, I need to stop this. Like, what is going on, right? Like, Dula literally put us in an absolutely terrible situation. So it definitely goes back to sort of like that good cop, bad cop sort of element in here, while where Dula is very pleasantly doing the execution. And you've got somebody like Carrie here on the other hand, who's trying to be the good cop and keep things a little bit calm, if you know what I mean. But if there was one scene in this particular episode that really stood out to me, it probably is the Eunice Dula scene, especially when she starts revealing more about her father and the idea that not the Talon, the Court of Owls wind up sort of pumping Felix's body with some sort of substance. I don't believe that she reveals what the substance certainly is. I think she ends up attacking Dula by the time she even gets to revealing anything, which kind of surprised me. I mean, she literally takes the ballerina, stabs Dula in the hand, and then starts trying to choke her with her oxygen line. I'm telling you, man, Eunice was really the high point of this particular episode. But it is some insight into Talon, understanding that they really made him a deal, if you will. Like, look, we'll do this, but you got to be our boy, right? Like, you've got to be our bodyguard, our guardian, if you will, and handle the business of the Court of Owls. And he definitely signed up for the deal, especially if his daughter was certainly going to be taken care of to be able to still live that privileged life, if you will, and it kind of all comes full circle. So it should be interesting to kind of see the rest of the Gotham Knights figuring out what that substance was that is certainly keeping him alive. And I do find it fascinating too that she mentions it was the last bit of the substance that they certainly had. So they are clearly out of it. I am kind of wondering if there's anything with like the Lazarus pit kind of involved in regards to that substance or whatever they're using to keep Felix alive, well, semi-alive, if you will, during this time. But I did find that rather fascinating from Eunice. But overall, always a great scene. I'm glad that we got the opportunity to kind of see Eunice back in here. And we even see Dula and Carrie at the end of this episode discovering new photos of the Court of Owls. Not new, but like older photos that they just now discovered within the music box that they had this whole entire time. It looks very much like there's a gala going on or some sort of dinner, while you usually have a big room full of those in Court of Owl masks also. We got plenty of Court of Owl masks in this episode too, especially when they go to hand over the paintings. They wind up having to confront some of the Court of Owls to go ahead and do that exchange. And again, leave it up to Turner to have that insurance policy in Eunice, because the Court of Owls definitely would have just shot them down had he not brought her along. But considering the fact that that's the Talon's mother, yeah, the Gotham Knights are definitely playing with fire in regards to messing around with this dude's mom. And the last thing that the Court of Owls wants is for his mom to die. So the exchange went rather smoothly for the Gotham Knights in that sense. But the Court of Owls got what they wanted, right? They got the last of their photos. And that particular photo that we get to see as they burn, it looks like it's a map of Gotham. Is that kind of what you guys got from that? I don't know if it's like subway tunnels, underground tunnels, just the streets, or a full-on map of Gotham. Maybe there's something on that map that used to be there, that's secretly there, that's not on any other map. Who knows? But this is something that clearly the Court of Owls certainly wanted. So I do wonder if maybe there's some sort of like underground tunnels or layers within Gotham that the Court of Owls certainly used. But they got what they wanted. It certainly seemed like. But it very much felt like they needed to acquire all the paintings, because they clearly didn't know which painting the cityscape or the city map was certainly under, because you do see them lighting all the paintings on fire, and I think it's the very last one that reveals what they were certainly looking for. So I will be really fascinated to kind of see not only what Cressida has to tell Harvey Dent in regards to what the plans are, but kind of seeing what she says and what we got here at the end of the episode, and how well it sort of connects. And again, I kind of appreciated the idea of Eunice ending up being a bargaining chip after the entire episode of the adventure with Carrie and Dula. So this isn't the only time I think that they've teamed them up. I think they've teamed up Dula and Carrie before, when they had the gala episode. I think when everybody was held hostage, I believe they had to help, had to team together to go ahead and take out some of those hostages. But I continue to like the combinations that we wind up having here. And just a quick side honorable mention for combinations that I like: Harper and Stephanie got a brief little appearance together in this episode. Harper does go back to Dylan McKillen to try and get some information from him. That was pretty fascinating. Little scene that we wind up having here. Harper really twisting his heartstrings, if you will, to kind of get the information out that she certainly needed. But also, at the end of the day, I believe she winds up getting shot in the arm, and the person that comes to go ahead and help her and bring her back to health is Stephanie. So just the way that they looked at each other, I mean, you can kind of see the bonds kind of continuing to grow after the past two episodes here, if you will, finding some reason to support one another, or find aspects of each other that you like, if you will. So the Harper and Stephanie stuff definitely continues to grow on me, despite the genius on genius sort of head knocking that we have gotten over the past couple of episodes so far. I also do want to talk a little bit about Harvey Dent and the Lincoln March situation, as Lincoln March in this episode finds himself in a coma. But by the end of the episode, waking up from that coma. And now, while that certainly sounds all nice and pleasant, that's probably not the news that Rebecca or even Harvey wanted to hear after what went down in this particular episode. I mean, just super startling that literally 24 hours this man has been on his deathbed, if you will, or in the hospital. Rebecca's only thinking, and her only concern seemingly, is to be Harvey Dent, and whether or not he got harmed, or what danger he might currently be in right now. And it seemed like it even surprised Harvey that her focus wasn't on her husband, but it kind of explains why in this episode too, when she reveals that her husband has been seeing somebody else, or so she says. But she's under the impression Lincoln is certainly seeing somebody, so maybe in her eyes that gives her the go-ahead to sleep with Harvey Dent, or continue to mingle with him whenever she gets the opportunity to, because I was not expecting this episode to end with the both of them being in bed together. I mean, look, clearly they have feelings for each other. They definitely deal in a lot of what ifs, if our situations had been different. I think Harvey even let slip, if things change, or if things do change, sort of mentality. And she's like, oh, as in Lincoln dying? Like, God, bro, like you thinking about him dying just so you can be with Rebecca? Like, too soon, like way too soon, bro. But that's what lust and infatuation will certainly do to you. Finding yourself in a really strange predicament now, because not only have you slept with his wife, you've slept with his wife twice in this season so far, and we're only like 6-7 episodes deep, but you're also waking up with her in the morning, telling her sweet nothings, only to come to find out in the morning that you get a phone call. Hey, by the way, Lincoln's awake. Oh, you probably should have waited. Way too soon, man. Way too soon for any of that. So it should be rather fascinating. We've got ourselves a little bit of a love triangle here, maybe a love square if Lincoln's mistress ever certainly gets involved. But look, Harvey definitely finds himself in a really terrible predicament that he wind up putting himself in, because Rebecca's not going to let him live that down after everything that she certainly said. Who knows? Maybe she has some animosity towards Lincoln and what's going on, and just blurts it out. Well, me and Harvey slept together, right? And then it just all goes downhill from there. So, yeah, Harvey's in a tough position, despite the idea that he's also dealing with a personality disorder, split personality disorder, where he can literally become somebody else and just completely blank for a period of time. But trust me, Harvey didn't remember this night, that's for sure. He didn't turn into nobody else at the end of this one. So yeah, he definitely finds himself in quite the predicament. But overall, man, again, solid episode. The Eunice and Dula stuff really did it for me. The drama between Harvey, Rebecca, and Lincoln is definitely there. And I am kind of digging the concept of them being referred to as Gotham Knights, these vigilantes, and really the idea of them not fully accepting that role, but maybe falling into that role and continuing to certainly prove themselves, right? Like, even at the beginning of seeing Turner go down that rabbit hole of like, maybe the idea of collecting paintings isn't really worth our attention, right? Like we're focused on bigger and better things. It truly isn't until they discover that the paintings belong to Alan Wayne that it then becomes their problem. But the fact that they're at least thinking about the concept of helping people outside of their own particular mission, that I definitely do find pretty interesting. So we'll see how the rest of this team certainly works out and it continues to go. But I continue to really enjoy these characters, and another enjoyable episode here this week, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I always want to know yours. What did you guys think about this particular episode of Gotham Knights? Let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below, and we'll continue this discussion throughout the week until next week's episode. And listen, if there's anything that I missed, character moments, storyline details that you guys want to continue to further talk about, definitely go ahead and let me know, and we'll certainly continue that conversation. But until next time, do me a big favor as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you later. Bye.